I created this album of generations in our family in 2000 after Dick's death. It was a very healing process for me in my grief, realizing how blessed our family has been with new life and will continue to be. I begin this album with the poem I wrote for my parents' 40th wedding anniversary. And then the album is organized by generations: our grandparents, mother and dad, a section on each of us 5 of their children, and a section on the new as of 2000 generation, starting with the Belkis and followed by the Jegens. I spring from 2 sources. My mother is a mountain stream, fresh, sparkling in the sunlight. Her motion, all music, flows from mystery, beckoning children to play at her shore. My father is a moonlit sea, permanent, calm, and timeless. Has anyone ever plunged his depths or seen a shore to bind him? Only the seagull knows. This first picture of my parents is at Lake Louise, Banff. I think Marilyn might have taken the picture. I think she was with them on that trip. And I'm sorry I don't have the year in my head, but we can figure that out. The next page is my father's family. My grandfather, Francis Rakowski, born in 1860 and lived till 1923. He died the year my parents were married. And our grandmother, Julia Staley Jegen, 1861 to 1949. They were married in 1885. So the children in the picture from left to right: Edmund, 1887 to 1962. Charles, we called him Uncle Chick, 1893 to 1968. Beatrice, Aunt B, 1898 to 1943. Julian, my father, called Dick in the family, 1895 to 1975. And Angela, who became Sister Francis of Sisters of Mercy, from 1897 to 1983. In the first row, we have George, 1899 to 1952. Our grandfather, Francis, 1860 to 1923. Cyril, we called him Uncle Si, 1905 to 1989. Julia, our grandmother, 1861 to 1949. And Mary, who became Sister Dolores, Sister of Mercy, 1892 to 1992. She lived just a few months before her 100th birthday. This picture is Julie's first communion, Grandma Ray, and Dick as a baby. Not sure of the date, but we can figure that out. This picture, I think, was taken around 1900. The two girls in front are Mother and Aunt Janet. Her real name in the family was Adelaide, which she didn't like. The woman in white behind the table is Grandma Bosselman. And the man to her left with suspenders is Grandpa Bosselman. Again, in this picture would be Aunt Janet and Mother in the first row, Grandma and Grandpa at the end. And the picture of the horse and buggy is delightful. And again, the grandparents and the children in the left part of the picture. This is our handsome grandfather. The picture was probably taken for his dentist degree, so he was really Rudolph Bosselman, DDS, Doctor of Dental Surgery. These pictures are of Mother, Janet, and Rudy as children. They were not poor. They weren't wealthy rich, but my grandfather probably made a good living as a dentist. These pictures from 1941. The upper ones are Grandpa and Mother in our yard at Major Avenue. And the picture, Grandma Bosselman, I think in Florida. The one on the bottom on the right, I've got marked was 1941, Marilyn, Grandpa, Grandma, Mother, and Eloise. And then in the front, myself, Evie, and then Dick, then Rosemary Ray, Son, eventually, and Carol. It looks like that might have been taken in our backyard. These pictures aren't dated, but they're obviously up in years. And Grandpa was quite a fisherman. In fact, he died having a stroke fishing, I think. My mother got there in time. And this is his obituary. I'll try to read it. Dr. Rudolph Bosselman, 84, of 29 South 6th Avenue, LaGrange, died Wednesday in Merrill, Wisconsin. Funeral will be held 1:30 today in the chapel of 40 South Ashland in LaGrange. Dr. Bosselman retired a year ago after 55 years as a dentist at 21 West 21st Street, and he also had an office across from Marshall Fields in Chicago. Mrs. Evelyn Jegen and Mrs. Janet Gidden and 7 grandchildren survive him. This is from the Chicago Tribune, June 1st, 1957. This next page is dated December 28th, 1922, and it's from the musical Courier, which obviously was a newspaper at that time. Lovely picture of Mother as a young woman. And the article says, Evelyn Bosselman, a promising singer. It is not often that a professional pupil is given space in the musical Courier, but exceptions have been made, and the latest interaction to the rule is made in favor of Evelyn Bosselman, a pupil of Francesco Dotti of Chicago. For the purpose of hearing this young lady, a representative of the Chicago office of the musical Courier called on Mr. Dotti in his Fine Arts Building studios and was greatly surprised and much pleased with the young singer, who is a newcomer among coloratura sopranos. Her voice may later develop dramatically. Already she sings lyric roles and songs as coloraturas. She has an unusual organ of rare beauty, which has been trained solely by Mr. Dadi, who may rest assured that his pupil will someday, not far distant, be a great credit to him. The above may read like a puff, but to one who has heard Miss Bosselman, this short review is insufficient, as she is fully ready to enter the professional field, not at the bottom of the ladder either, as she has all the requisites necessary for a very successful career. She enunciates Italian as well as English and French. She knows how to use her organ to its best advantage. Her phrasing is excellent, and she made on her lone auditor a very deep impression. No doubt Miss Bosselman will be heard from in her chosen profession. My parents either met at a resort in Wisconsin while on vacation in 1922 or 23, at these pictures show, or they might have already met and then came on this vacation. I'm not sure of that detail, but here they are, very young, and obviously already fond of each other. This is from my mother's journal, from their wedding day, June 30th, 1923. A little difficult to read, but we enclose it here. And then a picture of them on their honeymoon. The next picture is of Sister Frances, Angela Jegen, in 1923, Dad's sister, who was the bridesmaid at their wedding. The next pictures are of Julie as a child, and some with Marilyn, and one with Julie, Marilyn, and Carol and Mother, probably in our backyard. And this would be the backyard when there was still a driveway and a garage. I don't know who the woman is holding either Marilyn or Carol in that picture in the upper corner. The next page has a picture of Dick and Carol as children. Carol might have been 5 or 6, Dick maybe 3-ish. On the lower left-hand corner is a picture of me as a baby. I don't know who the woman is holding. I think that's probably some helper of Mother's. I think that's me as a baby. And then the bottom picture is Mother holding me. The next page, dated 1936, so again, that'd be around the time I was a baby, is Dad in our backyard garden, holding me, and then Julie, Marilyn, Carol, and Dick. The next picture on the left, I think, was made into a Christmas card. That's Julie, Marilyn, Carol, and Dick, and then I think they had a little picture of me somewhere. And these other pictures are a Mother in our garden, and then Dad and Mother and all of us, and I'm probably about 1 or 2 there. And then there's a note from Julie to Mother, which is a nice memory. Julie as a child, writing to my mother. February 18th, 1936, so it's a couple days after my birth. Dear Mama, I just got finished trying on my white dress. I looked through all the dresses, and the last one was this dress. I forgot to tell you that Thursday I'm going to another school to do the Irish dance. Miss Bart keeps me all dated up. She was glad to hear that we have a new baby. Marilyn just received the nicest purse from Aunt Vi. It is a Shirley Temple purse. It has a mirror, a little change purse, and is silver of some kind of strong material. The color is red. It has her initials on it in silver. I wrote to Terry yesterday and told her that we have a new baby. I hope you and our little Evie are fine. I am so glad we are all well. I sure do hope you can read this. I wrote it in such a hurry. If you have any time, please write. Love, Julie. And then a row of kisses and one for the baby. 1938, the 5 Jegens. This became a Christmas card, I think. I can get it out of here. So this would be 1942. Yeah, see, Merry Christmas, the Jegens. Christmas carols. It's Julie with her cello, Marilyn with her violin, Carol with a songbook, and Dick and I with songbooks. I remember those songbooks. And then this one, this would be 1942, so this one must be maybe 1940. I don't know. Yeah, because I'm obviously a little older there, and Dick's a little older. So I would guess that one's 1940. All right, 1938, that's our driveway, and what kind of car would that be? An old Chevy, maybe? It's Mother and Dad. I like the way Dad's looking at Mother adoringly. I don't know where we were that I got a pony ride, but I look like I'm maybe 2 there. And this is Carol and Dick. This would be an earlier year. Their facial expressions are rare. These are Christmas cards, and then Mother and I were invited to go down to Florida, and Dad thought it was a good idea that we went because I was having whooping cough and stuff, and they thought to get me down into the sun would be good. So this is down at Aunt Janet's, and I have a question mark about the date. But I'm obviously 2 or 3 there, not very old. This is Marilyn, Dick, and me at Major Avenue, in front of the garage, it looks like. And these are pictures taken in Florida when Mother and I went down. What year was that? Well, I'm 2 or 3. I notice I have Band-Aids on my knees. This is me as a baby, I think maybe 2-ish. This is Dad fishing. Not sure the date. He loved to fish. The next is a family picture I think many of us have, but I have our ages on here. I'm 6, next to Mother, and then Julie was 16, Marilyn was 14, Dick was 8, and Carol was 11. And I think some of you children have that picture. I think this was taken in Grandma and Grandpa Bosselman's apartment. They had moved out of their LaGrange home into an apartment in their older years. And those were fancy dresses that Aunt Janet sent the girls for Christmas or something. 1941 or 2. These were taken whatever year I'm probably about 5 or 6. And then this one is a later picture of me, but if I'm about 5 or 6, Dick would be 8 or 9. Julie looks like she's high school age, and Marilyn does too. Anyway, those are nice pictures. There's pictures of Dear Major Avenue and the zinnia garden in back. I think my father's decision to buy 2 lots in Chicago was so wise because the houses in Chicago are so close together. You can see across the street how close. So the fact that we always had some light coming into the house, because this would have been south looking north. So later he put a big picture window in here. So we got good light into the living room. And next door were the Cole family. We were close to them. Mr. Coles was a butcher. And when Mother wanted a really good roast for a holiday, she would get it from Mr. Coles. Otherwise, she would go down to the grocer, Mr. Mealing's, and get her regular meats. But that's our backyard. And you could see across the street how close the houses were together. So it was wonderful that Dad got that extra lot. Our dining room at Major Avenue, and the middle picture is Dolores and Francis. And Marilyn standing there, and the mother, and I think that's me. And this is some kind of family dinner. No idea what year, but if I'm in the habit, it must have been after 1962. I don't know who that woman is, but that's Aunt Eloise and Uncle Si. And this looks like Sister, no, I'm not sure if that's Sister Beatrice. No, she would have been in a habit. I think that's Julie, Mother, and me. This picture obviously is at Major Avenue. There's our clock. And I think that's Richie on the left. I'm at the piano, and would that be Mary in front of the clock? And Jen in that blue dress? Not sure. And that's Julie and me, Mother at the piano, and I'm standing behind them. So if I'm in the habit, this would be after 1962. The other pictures that Jen, I guess that's me, Mary, and Mother, that's another year. And who's playing the guitar there? Anyway, that's our living room. The piano and the clock, picture window looking out, looking south. Mother always kept our pictures on the piano. I'm not sure who this is. Did Sister Beatrice play the guitar? I don't remember that. Maybe. Some of these pictures are from Mother and Dad's golden wedding. I think maybe Carol has that. It's our family tree with the names. This is me, Carol, Marilyn, and Julie. And then Mother and Dad with us. I think that's Dick. And that's you, Richie, I think. At probably a family dinner. Oh, here's the way Mother had the pictures of each of us on the piano. So that would be the window looking south to the empty lot next to us that, thank God, we had. And laid some light in the house. Next page was a family reunion at the Warrenville Cenacle on August 18th, 1966. The writing on the card is Dad's, listing all of us. So the Belkys and the Jegens. So he's listing that we're there by the river at Warrenville. The card lists who all the kids are. As you can see, they're pretty young. So that was a nice reunion of the Belkys and Jegen kids. That didn't happen very often. And I like this bottom picture is of our backyard. How wonderful that Dad bought that extra lot. That's Dad, Marilyn, and Mother sitting on our kind of patio there. and a nice picnic table, an umbrella, nice for summertime. And then again, this would, on the right would be Cole's house. Good neighbors. This is dated June 30th, 1963. Is that their 40th wedding anniversary? That's the one for which I wrote that poem, I think. And here's the Mass for their golden wedding, and it's Richie serving at the Mass in the bottom left. And I think the middle picture, I think the reception was at Wright Hall at Mundelein. So that was 1973. The top one's 63, and this one is 73. These are later pictures. I don't have them dated. I should. Julie and I visiting with Mother at Warrenville. That's the steps at Warrenville. Is that Mendota? Mother playing the piano, Dick sitting listening, and I think that's Mary and Marilyn. And then this might be Jen down on the left-hand corner, I'm not sure. This would be Major Avenue, our nice fireplace. It really wasn't a fireplace, but we put a false fire in there, and the family tree thing, and the bookcases. You can tell my father loved reading. That was the Hummel nativity set. I think Carol ended up having that. And the bottom one is me singing with Mother at the piano. And there's the Christmas tree and the clock. So those are nice memory pictures of the house. This next picture is dated June 1951. I think that's Mother's writing. Wonderful picture of Mother and Dad. Dad looked like he had caught a muskie. 1951. So how old would they be? 23. They were married in 23. Mid-50s, yeah. But that's a dear picture. They look so happy. This is a much older picture of Major Avenue Yard. Mother, yeah, it's hard to date that, but she's obviously that's years later. This is Mother's writing on this card. The picture on the other side is the trellis. This is how the house looked over on the lot. And there's Dad planting his roses in his. Dated 1968. These are favorite pictures of Mother and Dad in their prime, and notes to me for birthdays. So that's really how I remember them as I was growing up, yeah. And then love from Dad personally. This is one of my new trees. I have, unless I've already given it to one of you, I did have one of those Christmas trees for years. Maybe I still have it, I'll have to check. And then these are the memorial cards from their funerals. And I put the pictures of Dad in his garden and Mother at her piano. Okay, then two pictures of Major Avenue. I'm looking out on the garden. And I think that's the ginkgo tree that Dad got. And then Mother's, the piano and clock. Certainly a home they loved and raised the five of us in. The next sections of the book are of the five of us. So the first is of Julie. This would be about high school age, I think. And this Julie later, probably a professional picture of her as a teacher. It's a nice picture of Dick with Julie and me. This is Dad and Julie visiting, and Mother visiting Carol, and I'm not sure which baby that is. But and this is a picture of Julie and me. I probably could figure out the date of that, but I haven't got it written down there. This was Julie's Golden Jubilee. So it's Julie, then Bob Belkey, then Carol, then Dick, then Jen, then me, and then Marilyn. Then the bottom are the three of us, Marilyn, Julie, and me. I'm not sure when this picture is. I think we're at the Longwood Cenacle. That's me, Julie, Marilyn, Dick, Carol. And this might have been the opening of the Jegen Center, I think. So the back row would be John, and me, then Paul, then Dick, the bishop, Tom, Mary, Richie, Jen, Marilyn, Meredith, Julia, and Julie coming around the circle. So those were all Julie pictures. And this is Marilyn. It's probably her high school picture. And then there's a sister. This is Marilyn and Don Ray. They graduated, I think, the same year from high school, or maybe grade school. And that's Marilyn, me, and Marion. I have no idea what year that is. Marion looks about 4 years old or 5. She was in Chicago for a while after Carol was sick. I could figure out that date. Again, I don't have the date of this, but it's in back is me, Dick, and then in the front, Marilyn, Jen, and Julie. I should try to figure out the dates of these pictures. We might have been visiting the Belkys here. That's Marilyn, because I know we drove. Marilyn, Julie, and I drove east one year and visited them. So it's Marilyn, Julie, me, and Carol. I don't know what that is. Those are Marilyn pictures. This is Carol's section. Carol and Bob's wedding picture. I love this picture on the top of Carol sitting on my Chevy. That's Carol's high school graduation, I guess. And in the bottom is Carol in our backyard hugging our dog, Sandy, who was really my dog. A wonderful mutt, the best of several breeds. This is Carol and Bob with, I guess, Marion as a baby. And then this would be Carol, Bob, Marion, and Bobby as a baby. Me at Hazelhurst with Marion and Bobby. And Marion, Bobby, and Tom. Yeah, I was there for a while taking care of those kids. Carol was ill for a while. Okay, and here are all the Belkey boys when they were younger. Those were probably taken in Syracuse. Oh, this was a camping trip. And my friend Peg Dugan, Sister Peggy Dugan, long gone in heaven. So this would be Kenny, Steve, Bob. Yeah, they're a little hard to see, but it's Belkys. Okay, here's the section on Dick and Jen. Here's Dick and Jen as high school sweethearts. This is Dick in front of our house. I think that's his high school graduation picture. This is their wedding. I was their bridesmaid. Good-looking couple. And this would be This is the California trip, 1972. That's Dick, and it looks like Mary. This is Mendota, I think, isn't it? And this is Major. It's Dick, Jen, Dick and Jen, Richie, Paul, Tommy, Mary, me, and Julie. This is all you, Rich, isn't it? Or it's with some of them Mary. This is you with Marilyn's book. That's Tom. There are 4 of you. And Mary. Good-looking kids. Mary, Rich, John, and Paul. It's hard to see this one, but that's your dad. And your mother someplace in here. This is Paul. This is Tom?
Yes.
This one too?
Yes.
Okay, so you, Mary, John, and Paul. I should put the names in there. These are your high school pictures, I think. Good-looking kids. I like this one of your dad. Meredith and Julia. I forget what he's holding. I think it's somebody's gift. It's opening presents. Now, is this Mendota? Yeah, that's Mendota. That's one of their Christmas cards. And I think it's Tommy. It's a nice picture. Mary's wedding. Look how young your dad looks there. It's a little later. Should date these. This is the Jegen Center thing, I think. This is one of the last pictures of them before he died. This is an article in the Chicago Tribune, Sunday, March 19th, 2000. That would be a few days after Dick's death. Richard R. Jegen, beloved husband of Mary G. Jen née Brennan, devoted father of Mary T. Kramer, Richard E., John G., Carla, Paul F., and Thomas, loving grandfather of Meredith E., Julia B., and Peter E., dear brother of Sister Carol Francis BVM, Sister Mary Evelyn SND, Carol Robert Belkey, and Sister Evelyn Jegen RC. Funeral Tuesday, 9:15 a.m. from Males and Son Funeral Home, 6000 North Milwaukee Avenue, to St. Mary of the Woods Church, Mass 10 a.m. Intermit All Saints, visitation Monday 2 to 9. This is a picture of Dad looking at Peter as a baby, and the quote is from the song Bring Him Home, from Les Mis. Hear my prayer in my need, you have always been there. He is young, he's afraid, let him rest, heaven blessed. Bring him home, bring him home, bring him home. He's like the son I might have known, if God had granted me a son. A son may die one by one, how soon they fly, on, and I am older and will be gone. Bring him peace, bring him joy. He is young, he is only a boy. You can take, you can give. Let him be, let him live. If I die, let me die. Let him live. Bring him home, bring him home, bring him home. The reason I have this in this book is that was a song that kept singing in me when Dick was still down in Florida with the family. He wanted to come back to Chicago to die. So I'm in Chicago waiting for this to happen. And this song from Les Mis was just singing in me a lot, waiting for that to happen. And he did come home, and I just happened to be with him. The family had just gone out. They had been with him all day in the hospital. They needed a break. They were going out for dinner. And I happened, with the grace of God, to be holding his hand when he took his last breath. I will always be grateful for that moment. The next page is, I think that was taken at the Longwood Cenacle, a picture of the 5 of us. So from left to right, it's me, then Julie, then Marilyn, then Dick, and then Carol. And then the bottom picture is the picture of Jegen Florist, and on the door you see the names Julian Jegen and Richard Jegen, 1149 North 6th Street. And most of us, including Dick's children, worked there at different times, certainly during the holidays. It was a wonderful family time. My high school graduation, there's a picture in the booklet of the article in the Chicago Tribune about me because I was the class president. But I have a dear note from Dick. The card is a graduation message to wish you happiness today and always. Love, Dick. Over. And it's dated June 10th, 1954. This is what he wrote. I want you to know that I was more proud than anyone in that auditorium tonight. You did an exceptional job throughout. Your entire 4 years and tonight was a fitting and brilliant climax as far as I am concerned. You are the brightest star of all. This can't be disputed, for the others made records and you were the one who broke them. It is so simple to do a thing once, but to do better every time you try is quite an accomplishment. Your talk was down to earth and yet sublime in the way it was given. As far as going on with your education, I am all for it, but I do hope you stay close to home, as we need you, as you are by far the most exceptional and considerate child our home has ever seen. Love, Dick. Well, I think you can say my brother loved me a lot. Well, we went through a lot together. That's for sure. So that's a precious note. Okay, and the rest of the book goes on with my life in college and my dinner that Mother and Dad gave before I entered the Cenacle, and then the pictures of the day I was entering. There's one picture here of June 1962, that would be a little before I entered, with Dick and me and Mary and Richie. Mary must be about 4, and Richie must be, what, about 2 there, I don't know. And then my departure for the convent to Ronkonkoma, New York was September 12th, 1962. So this is probably at the airport. That's Dad, Julie in her habit, me, and Mother. And the above pictures were taken in our garden at home. And the next page would be pictures of me in the habit at Ronkonkoma, and there's a picture of the three of us in our habits. And then later pictures, more modern habit, and then of me at the Cenacle at Longwood. Oh, the bottom one, I think, is with my friends Nanine and Connie Quinn at Cape May for our vacation. And then this one is Julie, Carol, and me. I'm not sure where that is. And then the bottom one is me giving a talk or introducing somebody. One of the Cenacles, I'm not sure. Next page was from the local paper in Warrenville, the Daily Herald, dated July 18th, 2000, talking about my starting the Adopt-A-Plot program at the Cenacle House in Warrenville. People came and they took a section of the grounds and could plant any flowers they wanted. It had to be flowers, not veggies. And that was very successful and got a lot of people involved with us. Next page, that's a picture of Joshua and me starting the section on the next generation. So first pages are about Marion, and then Bob Jr. and Rosemary at their wedding, and then their kids. We're all young adults now with families of their own. I remain very close to Bob and Rosemary. I visit them in Michigan once in a while. And again, they're just a very wonderful family. And these are more pictures of them with their young children. This was a surprise party for Carol's, I think, 40th wedding anniversary or something. Anyway, we're entering the room, and you can tell how surprised she is. She has her hand to her mouth. And the next pictures are the Belkey boys. And then Tom and Joshua. Tom and Cynthia, that did not work out to be the happiest marriage. This is Tom with his current wife, really, Lori, and their son Benjamin, who's probably a young adult now. This is Steve Belkey, who looks like a Jegen, the only blonde among the Belkeys. And his military wedding, he was in the Marines with Denise. Their children, Brooke and Haven. And unfortunately, that wedding has not developed well. I don't think Steve is even in touch with those girls anymore. I think they've kind of disowned him, unfortunately. And Jim and Patty, still in touch with them and their children, Jared and Sean. Again, are young adults by now. Well, we had a lot of fun together when they were younger. And Ken's kind of dropped out of our life in many ways. Ken lives in New Zealand, married a gal from New Zealand. We don't hear from him much. Two children, Tyler and Dylan. Dylan is either autistic or is some kind of disability, but they're young adults by now. Here's Mary, her wedding picture, October 25th, 1983. Picture of her in her home, picture with her then husband, Randy Kramer, and Meredith and Julia when they were babies. And more pictures of Meredith and Julia. More family pictures. Nice picture of Dick and Jen with Meredith and Julia. Nice picture of Dick with Julia's first communion, looks like, and Meredith. The next section's on Rich. Nice picture of you and me, don't you think? That's at Wright Hall, I think. You can see Marilyn and Mary with Meredith and Julia, and then Rich and I are talking to each other. Yeah,
that's Jegen Center.
Jegen Center,
Yep.
yeah. Good picture of Richie carving the turkey and with Jen. That's a good picture of us. There's some more pictures of Rich with Julia and Meredith. Whose house would this be?
That's Mary's.
Mary's house. Okay. And John and Peter, and I seem to have lost the picture of Carla. I must have used it for something. But they certainly wanted a child and worked hard to get this little guy. That's a picture in front of the Longwood Senecal way back when they were just dating, I think. Is that you, or is that Tom?
That's Tom.
Maybe you took this picture. I don't know why you're not in it. It's John and Peter. That's nice of Dick. Already he's not looking too well, though. There's pictures of Paul. His then girlfriend Denise. That's Julia. George, Ray. Open the picture. Okay, this one's dated 1995. It's a nice family picture of Dick and Jen and all the kids and grandkids. That's a nice picture. Isn't that a good picture? Picture of Paul and me. And Tom and his Batman. It's in front of Julia's. Tom and Paul and Meredith and Julia. Is that you or Tom? That's Tom.
That's Tom.
That's Tom. That's nice of Paul and Lisa. That's the first picture I have with Lisa in here. Nice of your mother. That's it.